Welcome back to Sportsbeat. Today is June 30th, and this is episode 19. And I'm your host, Rob Drumm, and I am joined, as always, by the show's comic relief, Dave Warner. What's up?
I get a lot of money for being the comic relief. You know that, right?
You've
seen my bonuses?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We got to get you one of those like court jester hats and everything. You can wear it on mine and Scott's podcast. You know,
I could do that.
There you go.
I would do that. Even on Tiffany's.
There you go.
I provide quite a bit of comic
Have
relief.
the little bells in there, and
Yeah.
you gotta have a little fun.
But you know what? Those girls are good. I get chocolates. I get flowers. What do you bring me?
I bring my presents. I'm a ray of sunshine on a cloudy day, like today.
Like today.
Yeah, that's a bunch of horse shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to reverse things up a little bit. We're going to do our Pressbox segment first. So we're going to dive right into it. The Mohawk Valley Diamond Dogs picked up a win last night with a walk-off to beat not only the Watertown Rapids, but the Rain. The Hollywood ending was made possible by Alfredo Delgado. It was the bottom of the ninth. 2 outs were on the board, and he hit a home run for a walk-off win. It was a 3-run bomb to the left field. This gives the Dogs their 11th win of the season after they picked up the 6-3 win last night. They had to have been good. I know you said you were watching part of the game.
Well, I was actually there
Right.
until, bottom of the sixth.
Sure.
I left, started getting dark because it was really cloudy
Yep.
and tough to shoot. And so I came home to work on images and stuff and, dialed up the live stream to watch the rest of the game. And that kid, how you get a sense that some of them might go on further than college. That's one of the kids,
He's got
Alfredo.
He's got some magic going on.
He's got some magic going on, although he also knows it. So, he's kind of like,
humble brag.
take a picture of me. I've got a picture on the website of him crossing home plate. He's like dancing, like with his hands out in the air like this.
Nice.
Hilarious. So, but he's a potential star.
Good.
No doubt about it. And that was a shot. That was just great to see.
Yeah, they had it on I think I saw it on social media where they showed that whole entire series of events. Like, crushed it.
Yeah, it was awesome. So, I mean, that's, like they said, every kid's dream.
Yeah.
He comes to the plate. It's
Walk
the bottom
off.
of the ninth.
Two
There's
outs.
2 outs, 2 men on base or bases loaded or, whatever the situation is.
Right.
And boom, wins
Gone.
the game.
Yeah. And walk-offs.
swing.
I mean, wins in the late in the game are fine, but walk-offs like that, it's rare to watch a helmet get tossed.
That was nice.
Cool. Love seeing it, especially right here in the Mohawk Valley doing big things. So
yeah. I mean, that's I want to say that's like 378 to left field fence, and he cleared that pretty well. So that was a good shot.
Nice. Sticking with baseball for a second here, we've got some AL East. Evil Boston still holds first place. The Rays are 2 games back. Blue Jays are 6.5 games back. Yankees are sliding this week at 7.5 games back, and the Orioles continue to forget how to play baseball at 23 games out of first place. So again, pack it up, go home. Sorry. Harsh. Somebody might find that offensive, and that's just too damn bad because this late in the season, your season's over. Over in the NL East, the Mets continue to hold first place. Nationals are back 3 games. Phillies are back 5. Atlanta is 5.5 games back, and Miami is out 9.5 games. The NBA playoffs are still underway. Phoenix has a 3-2 game lead over the Clippers in the West. And then back in the East, we have Atlanta and the Bucks tied up at 2 games apiece. Game 6 for the West will be on tonight at 9:00, and the East will play tomorrow night at 8:30. So if you're listening to this and it's currently probably some around halftime, I would guess, if you're listening to it live on the radio. So NASCAR saw some big news this week. Chip Ganassi is selling his entire NASCAR team to Justin Marks of Truckhouse Racing. Ganassi is quoted as saying, quote, "I am not out of racing. I'm just out of NASCAR. I still have an IndyCar team. I still have an IMSA sports car team, and I still have a Formula E team." Marks announced Daniel Suarez will be in the NASCAR Cup Series next year under his banner with another driver who's yet to be selected. So it's not every day that you see a major team like that get sold.
I know.
And the quote was well structured, like, "I'm not out of racing, just out of NASCAR." So I wonder if he's seen the writing on the wall there, or if he's fed up with some of the stuff going on, a little bit of mix of both.
You talked about all the changes in NASCAR and everything, and it just may be that was just too much for him.
Yeah. And there was, in one of the articles that I had read, I forgot what news outlet had it, but they were talking about how he was quoted as saying that he had no intention of selling a team, but he got an offer and he looked at the whole picture and now was the time to do it. So
yeah.
And Hall of Famer and pro announcer Jeff Gordon is leaving the booth at the end of this season. It's reported he's accepted a new role with Hendrick Motorsports, the team he used to race for. He will be named the vice chairman of the company, and that puts him as the de facto heir apparent to the flagship team. Haven't had a chance to talk to Tyler Head or Kyle Stevens about this one, so maybe we can get them on next week or moving forward. I think they're coming up for one of the races, so I'll have to get them on here to talk about that, because I'm sure both of these are big news, especially this late in the season.
Yeah.
And I mean, if it's like football players that leave the booth, that's one thing, but it just shows Gordon, it's in his blood.
Yeah.
And it's not surprising. He raced for all those years. He's got all the accolades that he's got. He's a Hall of Famer. Can't keep him away.
You can't smell the oil and gas in the booth.
You probably can.
well, not like you can down there on the track.
That's true.
It's a different experience.
Probably, that's his addiction, I guess. Jumping into Olympic news, we see that LeBron James has announced he will not be in a jersey this summer for the games. Father Time apparently has took his toll, according to Jerry Cangelo. The 36-year-old James will sit this one out. And also at 36 years old, this is probably going to be one of his last Olympic opportunities. So on the sideline for Team USA, not that they're still not going to be stacked with the who's who of the NBA. And
they could have an over 40 grouping in the Olympics, all the wash-ups.
Yeah. I mean, still, and the worst part is that with the way basketball is throughout the world, they probably would still, I don't know, they probably medal with that over 40 team.
They would.
That's
I say wash-ups. I shouldn't have said wash-ups.
I mean, after 40 years old, and it's weird because 40 years old and in the secular world, no big deal. You're just getting going.
Yeah.
40 years old. Tom Brady's 42, 43 years old. And everybody's looking at him like he's the 88-year-old person sitting up at Valley Health or something like that. I still want to know what he does so I can live as long as he's going to live, because he's going to be like 92 years old, still throwing passes to somebody.
You don't know what he does?
Oh, he's got that whole program and all that. And
don't forget that. Thought more of his wife.
Oh, there it is.
Sorry, there it is.
There it is.
We've been in the gutter prior to the show.
Yeah, so,
We're back.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so sticking with some Olympic news, Simone Biles is all geared up. The trials for the 24-year-old were like a practice round. She continues to anchor the U.S. team and will continue to shine. One point I found it interesting, and it's just insane to think about. It was reported that there's already a bias against her in scoring. Because she's such a dominant force in the sport, she's penalized by comparison. I guess that's a great problem to have, but like they were talking about how when she nails a 10 performance, it's not looked at, and what they're now looking for the technical mark-offs.
They ought to be looking at a new scale for her is what they should be looking at.
Because
she's so freaking good
and awesome. And I understand, there's a 10-point scale, but if she's getting that 9.8 and second place is getting a 9.2 and I know nothing about the sport other than I watch, but when they're talking about the technical difference between her 9.8 to 10 or perfect routines and somebody else in second place, and they're right up there next to her, how is that fair?
There's nobody next to her. Yeah. She's just too good.
It's a Grand Canyon between the two.
Yeah.
But and when you look at it, that's what it is. But then you got a 9.8, a 9.4, whatever the hell it was. And they're talking, and I understand her frustration and the team's frustration. I agree with you. There needs to be a new scale, like 10 point. I want to see a 10.5.
Yeah, this girl is just what she makes that body do in the air. I can't even do a handstand.
Yeah,
this kid is just around.
Yeah,
it's insane,
and it's awesome.
And it's beautiful to watch, actually.
And it's great that we've got these athletes here, and especially all over the world, because they all work their ass off to go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a great problem to have, that you're so good that the scale is not in your favor, but you're still going to probably be favored for first place and probably win a couple golds.
There's nobody that can beat her unless she falls for some reason.
She makes a technical, it's on her. She nails a perfect routine, she gets the gold, and U.S. adds a couple to the medal count. Oh, well, all the other teams are set and ready to go. Final trials and alternate selections have been completed. So really looking forward to the games. It feels, there's this normal feeling of life coming back. And all the, people are now talking about the Delta strain that's going through Europe and everything. But
I refuse to talk about this subject.
Yeah.
That's how you get past it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm not talking about
it's awesome. People are, one of the biggest questions are you going over there, or what's the impact? And it's just great to see the athletes saying, yeah, I'm going, because, they worked for the last 5 years now, because it's delayed a year.
Yeah.
Plus, there was one person that didn't qualify for the last Olympics, so they've waited 9 years to get here. I mean, unless I'm like on my deathbed, I can understand why they would want to go.
They're going.
I'd go too.
Yeah.
And we end talking about college sports today, at least in the press box segment. Over the weekend, Scott and I and a few of our fantasy football crew were together, and the topic came up. So we saw the fallout of the Supreme Court action that happened last week with governing NCAA in terms of scholarships and compensation coming down the road. So the question we talked about was, how the hell are you going to pay them?
Well, those programs make.
Oh, I know.
The big ones make a ton of cash.
But the thing is that, you're a SEC conference football team. You can easily afford to play the players, whatever you want to play. But should it be some level of fair where you pay everybody the same scale, whether they play football or college bowling or whatever it is? Because there's got to be some parity where otherwise you're turning it into another media market, which makes it, why is football? I mean, they're all college athletes. And I know, Bob Casula said they're athlete students, and that point rings true. But at the college level, there still needs to be some parity.
I mean,
it's going to be interesting to see.
Set just a flat, small rate of some kind.
Yeah.
And everybody that's an athlete gets that.
Because
female, male,
everything.
No sport, doesn't matter.
Across the board.
And
your
bowling guys are loving us talking about this.
Sure they are.
Now.
But the thing is that if you do it that way, they should. And life's not fair. Let's start there, right? Nothing about life is fair, but at the collegiate level, there needs to be some parity and then let conferences maybe set it all. But then if you're in the SEC and I'm in the ACC and you're making X and I'm making X minus 50% because the conferences set different goals. So do you pay every athlete across the NCAA the same?
I think you have to.
And
whatever that amount is, it shouldn't matter, conference, school, whatever you get to.
Yeah.
If you're playing sports in college and they rule that you should be paid, then everybody should get the same thing.
Yeah.
I still disagree with it, but
I think it's the way that court case is there's an opening for compensation and somebody's doing it. And the question is this the end of the NCAA? Well, because they have no control anymore. They're toothless.
Yeah. And then beyond that, it's like, just say everybody gets 20,000, right? Let's
sure.
Just pick a number, right?
Number.
Yeah. Do you not think there'll be other little perks that now everybody wants to push the boundary? Well, if a bowler is getting 20,000 a year, and your top quarterback is getting 20,000 a year, we need to get this guy some stuff. He just might end up with a new car, or he might.
I was watching somebody I think it was on Fox Sports 1 when they were talking about it, and I forgot who the crew was, but what are they, they need to get a job and everything. There's no way you can get a job when you're doing, I know like some of the kids that are up here at HCCC and they play soccer with keeping your grades up, at least there's no way you're getting a job. And some of them have this part-time job, and I give them kudos for balancing, keeping their GPA high, making sure they're scholarship ready, moving on to the next, and doing as well as they do in their sport. But you can't expect them to go work at the bookstore or something like that for 25 hours a week to make a wage.
Especially with the practice hours, game hours, away games.
Yeah.
Just everything.
There's no off day, because off days you're in with a trainer, you're in an ice bath,
weight room, whatever it is. Yeah.
So that is the end of our press box segment. So we will go to a commercial break and we will come back after this.
Visit My Little Falls and stay connected with the latest news, information, and events in the city. Our mission is to generate interest in the community and connect residents in a more meaningful way by facilitating deeper conversations about how these stories will shape the future of Little Falls, New York. Join thousands of weekly visitors who stay up to date with feature stories, interviews, videos, and our events calendar. It's about timely local news for the community, keeping citizens informed about important issues, telling stories about the people who live and work here, and giving locally owned businesses the opportunity to reach a very targeted audience of local residents and tourists alike. It's a whole new form of media-rich content developed specifically for today's mobile lifestyle and listeners. You can download our iOS app in the iTunes store or sign up for our weekly newsletter. Stop by today at mylittlefalls.com. You'll be glad you did.
And we're back, and I think we've waited a little bit, and I think the Diamond Dog of the Week may have gotten caught in the pound. So so we're going to see about.
He's in the pound with me, that's for sure.
There we go. So we're going to see if we can maybe get him on next week, get two of them on next week to do the interview that we had, and we'll go from there. I have looked around for Legion baseball scores, and I found a really, really bad website online, because of course it is. So if you are a Legion baseball team and you would like your scores reported, or you're any summer league that is listening and you would like your scores reported in our Pressbox segment, please include us in your emailing to sportsbeat@mylittlefalls.com. For updates and highlights throughout the week, find us on Facebook at Sportsbeat with Rob Drumm. For all your local sports, news, and our podcast home, find us on mylittlefalls.com. For Rob Drumm, here with Dave Warner, we'll talk to you next week.